Going. Bill Mancini is the last to join. As long as Bill's here, we can get started. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see everyone in November. We have a nice agenda here, and we're going to jump right in. We have a presentation from Christina Bonsack. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Christina. And she is going to talk to us about the Capital Region Heat Smart campaign and how we can participate. Columbia County is already covered in that, but how can this collaboration can assist us in the launch of our clean heating and cooling campaign that will hopefully be approved by the full Board of Supervisors in a little over or about a week or so. It's been through the Government and Finance Committees. So we're just going to make sure that we can use Christina's time efficiently and move on to our other business. We're just going to jump right in there. Please correct anything I've said that's wrong, Christina.
Oh, that's all perfect. Hi, thank you so much for having me, everyone. I know a few of you, as I am a Columbia County resident, and I've done some work around the county over the years on waterfront access issues, and I'm the Germantown Task Force Coordinator for CSC. So I work a lot with Matthew there. But yeah, so the Heat Smart Capital Region was previously run by Tara Donadio's great organization, Capital Region Planning Commission, and that is actually changing over to a new, larger NYSERDA program that'll be throughout the Capital Region. And so the Albany Affordable Housing Partnership and my agency, Capital District Community Energy, will be kind of co-managing that from now on. And right now, the Heat Smart Capital Region campaign is focused mostly on market rate customers. So the emphasis and the education has been for people who it's an investment, but they can do it. And with this new partnership with affordable housing, there will be somewhat of a change in emphasis to have it be a kind of a dual path website where if you are someone who would never be able to afford heat pumps, we will match you with an energy advisor that will bring you through all of NYSERDA's programs. There's Empower for low-income people. I believe in Columbia County, the income threshold is about $36,000 a year. And then there's Assisted Home Performance, which goes up to about $44,000 a year for Columbia County. And through that, there are kind of different steps. There's getting a home energy audit, so you really figure out what you need. And then there's building envelope, building science, insulation, air sealing, weatherization. And what we're trying to do is really be able to match people with exactly where they need to be in the process so that it doesn't become a burden on the contractors to have a bunch of people with brand new houses calling for insulation consultations, things like that. And to also really be able to help some of our less often served community members be able to really benefit from the lower prices and the stability of green energy in the future. I do have a sample presentation from a lunch and learn we just did in Saratoga County at a senior center. I'm happy to walk you guys through that, or I'm happy to just take questions.
Let's start, Christina, that was a great overview. Let's start with questions. I think most people on the call are pretty familiar with a lot of what you talked about. So yeah. If we feel like the questions are suggesting that we should go into the presentation, let's do that.
Okay.
But, I mean, I have some questions to start, but does anyone, just put your hands up and I'll call on you. Okay, great. Let's start with Supervisor Adams.
Mine is just, could you forward a link to the Lunch and Learn or something so that we could have that in our towns to use?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, and I'm also available give any lunch and learns or to do presentations in the individual towns. It's a big part of our outreach, is to, you guys make the connections and we can put somebody on the ground to help with education.
That's great. And there's also, of course, a website,
Yes.
which I'll put in the chat in a minute. People.
Hi there. So my question is, if you have residents that are making 36,000 or less a year, what will they qualify for in terms of incentives for the heat pumps?
It does get complicated. It's not like a simple yes or no, they get this or that. It depends on a lot of factors involving what their current housing is like. So it's really about how much energy they'll be saving. So baseline easy answer is they would qualify for about $8,000 in kind of no matter what. But if there's a payback period of less than 15 years, it can go up to $25,000, I believe. Tara, correct me if I'm wrong. And that can be an unmatched money. So they just get $25,000. They can insulate their whole house. They can put in heat pumps, and they can really benefit from this. But if it's not going to make a huge difference, if they actually are already living in a pretty sealed up home, it wouldn't be as much. So and that's actually one thing that that I do think is very different than the Great Solarize campaign you guys ran, is that this is not a one size fits all solution. Going to be client to client what needs to happen. So I think having the additional support of the larger regional campaign might be really useful.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the most important things we do here.
Mm-hmm.
Think about energy efficiency. It's the low-hanging fruit of climate mitigation, and
Absolutely.
when we can, and also saving people money. When we can take advantage of these programs and help people take advantage of these programs to install so cheaply. I have a question about the Inflation Reduction Act. Rebates and incentives that are coming down the pipeline. They're not here yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading something about some of the rebates that are likely to come, because these are going to go from the federal government through to the state, and then NYSERDA, I assume, will administer them like it does current rebate programs. But they're going to be quite robust, and we're going to see the rebates we see now increase dramatically and broaden. I saw something about $1,500 rebate for a heat pump, hot water boiler, or hot water boiler, which even when there's no rebate, costs maybe $2,500, or maybe $3,000. So we're talking about opportunities here that are not necessarily once in a lifetime, but they're going to be really valuable for people, aside from the climate benefits, just economically alone. So that's exciting. So do you have any knowledge, Christina, on timing for Inflation Reduction Act type benefits?
I don't have like an inside track on the federal things right now, but it is a priority that we think we really need to make like a one-page visual guide for people on how these programs between state, and they change by county, they change by region, and then the federal, and that how we can really kind of make a visual flow chart for people to really understand where they may fall in that, which was something I identified as a CSC member. Like, how does this not exist? And the reason is this seems very complicated, but we are trying to make something like that. We're working with the Troy Architectural Project on making some sort of visual learning materials for explaining how these complicated programs, and kind of simplifying a flow chart for people.
That's great. Tara, I saw it put in there's a webinar next week. Thanks, Tara, which is addressing this question from the state perspective. So put that in your calendars. So when I go to the Heat Smart campaign website, and Columbia County, by the way, is already included in this campaign. Mm-hmm. So let's just be clear about how does this relate to our clean energy campaign and climate smart communities clean heating and cooling campaign, right? And basically, Residents already can sign up and take advantage of all of the benefits and services of the Heat Smart campaign and connect with an installer and move forward with a project. Why are we doing this? Why are we asking the board to pass it? So that for two reasons, really. One is to get credit and some grant money from the Clean Energy Program when and the other really is to promote it. So to get more people to do it so that it's we have more of an impact. And by launching this campaign, we can do both of those things. But it is distinct from the community solar in the ways that Christina talked about. This isn't just people signing up for a one-size-fits-all subscription and they don't have to outlay anything and they get $100. It's different. It's more customized. It's funneling people into a pipeline and a system where they can get personal kind of service, like an energy audit. So when I go to the website and I look, there are 5 installers right now that are on that website. Rycor is one of them. I know they've been doing a lot of work in our county. And that's great. And they're installing heat pumps and hot water heaters and things like that. I don't see any of them doing the other energy efficiency steps or the energy audits. So the question is, when you sign up, who actually is coming to do an audit and what are they looking at in your house?
Yeah, that is definitely a factor right now. We don't have any energy efficiency specialists currently in the program, and a recruitment of those will actually probably be focused partly down here. There are some really good insulation contractors and energy auditors in this region. So we will probably in the next 4 to 6 months be doing some sort of a mini RFP just for insulation contractors. And that's a huge need. And that's part of kind of the redesign of this program, is to really make it be a one-stop full service, like, you know, these people, we know these people kind of situation. But for now, if you were to sign up, the Radiant store does offer energy audits. They subcontract those out to Trill Building Performance, which is an insulation installer. Rycor also, they recommend Foamco. So all of these heat pump installers kind of have informal partnerships with insulation specialists that they're used to working with. So you wouldn't just be standing out trying to navigate that yourself necessarily. However, there also is a part of the NYSERDA website where you can look up by service and location on the Find the Contractor section of the NYSERDA website. And any contractor who works with NYSERDA would be able to benefit from these incentives and these financing situations that we talked about.
So if sounds like more resources, more coherent kind of streamlined resources will come online. But now or in the future, if the installation is installation providers that are vetted, that's important, obviously. What about the audit itself? So is now or in the future, if I want to have someone come and do an audit, is that something that I can sign up for through a couple of companies you mentioned? Who pays for that? And how comprehensive is it?
So the state pays for it. They pay the contractor directly. There shouldn't be cost to the consumer. But we are going to have a section on the website to kind of define if you would need an audit, because it's been a frustration to some of the contractors that they come out to a house built in 2018 and do this 4-hour energy audit where it's clearly fine, So we're kind of trying to rework this with a little bit of feedback from all angles right now. But the short answer is the energy audits are free to the consumer. They are pretty comprehensive. I had one in early 2020, and it was about 3 hours.
Okay. If someone were to sign up through the HeatSmart website for this, then they would be connected with someone?
Not right now. We're waiting for NYSERDA, where we'll be having what's called a web to lead form, where you would sign up through the HeatSmart website and be automatically and be entered into the NYSERDA system for assistance and connected to an energy auditor that tells you where you might kind of fall.
Okay. So in the interim, I'm sorry if I'm repeating my question. I just want to be really clear when we're talking to people in our community. In the one go to sign up for a free energy audit of their home, assuming it's worthwhile.
It would be on the NYSERDA portal. I believe actually Capital Region does have a section for signing up for audits as well, or a link to where it is. Tara, do you want to jump in? Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, so we didn't have an auditor officially on the campaign, as Christina mentioned, so it's not going to directly connect you with anybody. There is just a list right now of energy efficiency contractors that work in the region by county that's available. So it's a little bit less informal, but I would suggest, and this is something Christina will have to work through, is people going to one of our heat pump contractors and trying it that way, or just connecting directly with Christina if they're not able to find the information. But it will be a process of kind of trying to figure out how to track those leads. And that'll depend on what the new Heat Smart, group led by Christina is, what contractor they're using. So.
Okay. Because I see on the website, it says request a free energy assessment to request a free no obligation site visit from one or more Heat Smart Capital partners. That's not, and I don't know what the difference between an energy assessment and an energy audit is. I think an energy audit, with my mind, would be more comprehensive and look at other things other than just replacing your heating and cooling systems. I would imagine the partner installers would be really focused on that. That's their business. So if we could get more clarity around that, I mean, you just gave us a bunch of clarity there. Sounds like people could connect and work directly with the installers. That may not cover all of the, insulation, windows, other things in their house that an audit might, cover. But they can also, it sounds like, we can put them in touch with you, Christina, in the interim.
Yes, and Wendy just put in the chat a link to the residential energy assessment.
And we can connect them to that. Great.
So when we make marketing materials and things like that, if we're still waiting for this form from NYSERDA, which I'm really hoping comes down the line very quickly and will be added to our site, then we will just put links to these other facilities on the marketing materials.
That's good. Okay, Susan.
Thanks. Two things I just want to clarify. So the free energy audit or assessment, is that income-based or is it available to anyone?
It's available to anyone.
Okay. And then so I want to share an experience I had RICOR at my home about getting an air source heat pump system. They checked information for the company they worked with. It was not going to be free, and they didn't call me back. So I think there might be. I'm sure this will smooth out as you go forward, but just so you know, it's not so smooth right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I think why NYSERDA is kind of trying to make there be a little bit more cohesion between these programs, because that was honestly my experience too in 2020. I still don't have heat pumps, so. So I understand the frustration side of the resident, and that's I think we're trying. I'm being honest, and we're definitely in a transitional period. But we have I think we have a really strong team of understanding what hasn't necessarily been working perfectly before through NYSERDA, not through, I think, Heat Smart Capital Region, led by Tara, did a great job at their piece. But now that we're trying to add in these other factors, we have a pretty good idea of what hasn't been working, and we have some hopefully good ideas.
Yeah, and if I can just add there, the reason that there wasn't an energy efficiency contractor on the campaign when we passed it off to Christina's team is just that we couldn't find one that was willing to really handle the leads that we were having to come in. Unfortunately, it's not a really great system out there for energy efficiency, and to be honest, the amount that they're reimbursing contractors for these energy audits. It's something like $100 or something, which you can imagine is not enough to get a team out to a site. I think the thought is, that they would get the lead from that and that they would actually do the energy efficiency work and that there's a business lead there. But NYSERDA needs to kind of make some changes to the system to make it better. They're taking feedback from people on the ground like Christina and, previously our team to kind of fix this program and make it easier for people to get energy audits and hopefully encourage more contractors to really do these free audits and do the work. So we're hoping those changes are coming down the pipeline soon and that there'll be more people on the ground.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was saying about kind of what we're hoping to do is split the website into kind of two paths for people who, are going to be market rate customers. They live in a fairly tight house. They don't really need the audit, and they're not going to generate any business for the auditor. So the auditor's losing money, and so these installation contractors tend to be the auditors, and they're spending all their time doing these audits where they kind of lose money and then they don't get a job out of that. So we're trying to make there be two paths and then something of like a Google form type of self-assessment, almost quiz for people to be able to say, okay, my house was built here. I know I have this, and be able to kind of guide themselves onto which path they take. And then if they're really not sure, then there will be people from assisted home farmers from the Albany Affordable Housing Partnership to help guide them as energy guides, essentially, energy advisors.
All right. Susan, your hand's still up. Do you have another question?
Yes. I have a follow-up question, slightly different track, but so our Climate Smart Committee is interested in participating in any campaign. If someone was willing to take the lead on being the liaison to our committee, is the time now to contact you, or are you not quite there yet, or what do you think?
I'm sorry, just to clarify, you're saying in your town, Susan?
Yes, in our town of Ingram, if we would, rather than do our own heating campaign, we'd love to piggyback on the county. And so I'm wondering whether now's the time to appoint a liaison or not. Is it too early? Is that premature?
No, now's the time. We have a resolution. So the steps are as follows. We have a resolution that's moving through county government that will almost certainly pass next week. And then it will have been approved for us to run this campaign. I haven't seen the latest draft or the draft that's moving through. Maybe Brenda can speak to this, but I believe it will authorize us to choose NYSERDA providers, so we could choose as a task force to move forward without an RFP to use the existing relationship with the Heat Smart Capital Region campaign, which we're already part of, and make that those providers available. Brenda says that's correct. Thanks. So the only other step we have to do as a county to start the campaign is get approved by NYSERDA by submitting the scoping document. Wendy's working on that and hopes to have it submitted any day now, I think. Wendy can correct me if I'm wrong. So the county campaign will hopefully start once we get approved from NYSERDA, which will happen soon after the resolution is passed. And we as a group can choose, and we should do so today, I believe, to work with the Heat Smart Capital Region campaign we can always look to add other contractors, for example, insulators or other folks that we could come back to, to the task force here and add in the future, as long as they're NYSERDA approved. That meets the needs of the resolution and what the county is authorizing. So we can get going right away. And Susan, to your point and question, and this is relevant in the town of Gainesville, and I'm sure for a lot of us, as long as the town passes a resolution and the and a scoping document and gets approved from NYSERDA, so start that process now. You can use the templates that Steve has for New Lebanon, or the county template or the county scoping plan and resolution. Get that through your town government as soon as possible, and then you will, anyone signing up in the county will have tracked. And so we'll be able to provide those numbers to you in your town, and you'll be able to submit that to NYSERDA to get your clean energy grant and credit from, both the clean energy and climate smart communities programs.
Okay, so to get, excuse me, to get those templates, Tara, should I reach out to you? I don't want to burden anybody, but I don't think I have them.
No, I think I'll send you the latest one, or actually I'll have Haley do it because she would be helping you, Susan and Ingram. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be reflective of what the county submits as well, assuming it's all the same process. And it'll look similar to, I think you guys did the Solarize one where you're kind of like having some language in there about Piggy. But yeah, I'll have her reach out to you and get that.
Okay, and I'm happy to work with Tara because we'll have hopefully a finalized county resolution, which we can include so you can share that with your town. And they'll see that it's a campaign moving forward. And we can also, Steve's offered in the past to share the New Lebanon scoping document and resolution. We can provide a template resolution for the towns that refers specifically to the county resolution and says that that your town is bootstrapping or piggybacking on top of the county resolution that was passed on X date. So we'll make it easy, and Tara and I can work on that and get you that package, which would be the county resolution that's passed. We'll have that as soon as it's passed, hopefully. A template for your town, which is specific to referencing the county campaign, and at least one example of a scoping document.
Okay, and then going forward, would our town liaison connect with Christina, or what's the communication going to be? So that we get the all the materials that have to get blasted out to our residents.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do in terms of materials at the county level. We should talk about that. But there's the website, the HeatSmart website, which is the portal to kind of funnel people to, and it will get them to the installers that are approved. And then there's the either webinars or in-person information sessions, which we'll want to plan, and we'll probably focus those in the county, in the towns that are participating. So there's a kind of a double benefit, and that will help your town, Susan, and any other town that's participating, or maybe we can do one for multiple towns that are near each other to save resources. We could do some online. These are some of the details of the scoping document that we're working out with Wendy and our subcommittee, which is the same subcommittee that we had on the community solar. Steve Powers, Matthew, Terrence, and myself, working with Wendy and Christina, we'll work that out. But I don't know what other materials we either need online. We'll want to put something on our website, but I assume that's just sending people to the HeatSmart campaign. I don't know what other materials we can produce or we need. I'm open for thoughts on that.
Okay. Well, just as it falls into shape and we see the scoping document, but in our town, I'm sure, we have the supervisor has an email blast list. So it would be, communications that this is available. We have a town's newsletter, so an article we can put in the letter, and then with all the links, that kind of stuff. And coordinate with the county's campaign. So that's what I was thinking about. Well, who would we liaison with on the county side?
Well, I think our subcommittee, and it sounds like if we agree to go forward, Christina.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Supervisor Adams, sorry to make you wait.
It's okay. I have two questions. Columbia Opportunities has been doing energy audits and weatherization in the county for a number of years. I'm wondering if they have an energy audit person on staff and whether or not that might be a resource for us. And I don't know what the intersector tie-in may be. They've gotten federal funds for, I think, 6 figures federal funds for, again, many years for weatherization. This might be a resource for us, and maybe the supervisors could follow up with them, identify their program, and bring it back to this committee, and we could see what, if any, intersection there might be. And the other thought that I had was, I don't know what the training is to be an energy auditor. Maybe we should reach out to the community college and see if they would offer a site, a local site. Because sometimes it's easier for contractors to get to Hudson than it is to get to Albany or someplace farther afield for training. But maybe we could offer, some kind of a training session at the college for local businesses that might be interested in training a staff person or persons.
Mm-hmm. I see from the link from NYSERDA that there are 5 companies that are listed right now for Columbia County. They're not all in our county, and I don't know how active they are. There's Cool Temp, Malkarn Contracting in Rhinebeck. Cool Temp is in Coxsackie. Radiant Store in Troy. Better Energy Solutions in Suffern, and Dr. Energy Saver Hudson Valley in Bullville. So, yeah.
Cool Temp, actually, Mike Veeder, who is the owner of Cool Temp, used to do a lot of work for Habitat. He is an instructor at the BOCES program here in Hudson.
Oh, which program?
BOCES. That isn't that the high school equivalency if you're doing trade and getting a certificate. But he is the HVAC instructor for at BOCES, or was. I'd have to check and see if he's still there.
Supervisor Adams, I would love to connect with Columbia Opportunities as well. Another side of the coin of the work that we're doing out of the Albany hub is workforce development, and the Troy Architectural Project will be heading up the workforce development, but I already did suggest that Columbia Green with the Great Construction Tech Program might be a great place for outreach and training. So I would love to follow up with you on that.
So let's have a chat about that. And I will say, Christina, yesterday there was a contractor, and I don't remember his name, who was on Vox Pop on AMC, and they were talking about heat pumps, and he was saying, there are income eligible programs in the Albany area where you can get a heat pump installed for next to nothing. So he was promoting this program yesterday. You might want to hear a podcast of the program today.
Wonderful, thank you.
And just a little addition there. I didn't turn to the second page here. There are 4 more, so there's 9 listed for another in Schenectady called Standard Heating and Cooling Insulating in Albany. Rensselaer has a company, and Winfield, New York. So that's spray foam. So, it sounds like there's a bunch of companies we could potentially help connect people with. Steve.
So we used Columbia Opportunity audit in New Lebanon, and they charge $400 for that. And they told me that they also charge the same for residential, but they will refund it if you do the work with them afterwards. Also, Susan, I'll send you our scoping document, and as well as Tara, you had said, or maybe Jill had said, a flyer that we used in the heat pump campaign that you can certainly modify, and I'll forward that to you as well. Basically, we just put the town logo on it and distributed it at event.
Thanks.
Sure.
I don't think we need much more than that in terms of materials, really, other than what we put on the website, a version of that we put on the website, and then we promote, and then people can do similar things in their towns. So any other thoughts or questions for Christina?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christina, and of course, Tara as well, for helping us navigate this. Steve is a great resource because they've done it in New Lebanon. And we will hopefully be approved. And I would like to take make a motion to, this is kind of a conditional motion. It doesn't need to go to the board. Assuming the board approves next week the resolution, we would be authorized to start the campaign with NYSERDA all all of the Heat Smart Capital Region providers are NYSERDA authorized. So I would like to make a motion for a resolution for us to launch our campaign in collaboration with the Heat Smart campaign, the Capital Region Heat Smart campaign.
I'll second it.
Great. Any comments or discussion? Great. All in favor? Raise your hand. Speak up if anyone is.
Aye, says Matt. Sorry.
Thanks, Matt. Anyone opposed? Please speak up. Great. That's unanimous passage. So what that does is it allows our subcommittee to continue to work with Wendy and Christina to launch our campaign as soon as NYSERDA approves our scoping document and the county approves the resolution. And Christina, then we'll start working together, get some events scheduled, get some materials out, and we will follow up with this group and the EMC to communicate to the towns so they can start working on their own resolutions. And what's great about this is the efficiency with which this is moving forward. I really appreciate everyone in keeping their eye on that ball because this is a lot more streamlined, in large part because of the Heat Smart campaign that already exists, but also because of the way the resolution's been modified as it's moved through the process, and folks, supervisors and others have been educated as to what we're doing and why. So thank you everyone for a lot of good work behind the scenes. All right, let's move forward. Quick update from Tara on the climate adaptation and resilience plan. Tara?
Yeah, thanks, David. So not too much of an update, but just a general, we're just gathering the final tally of communities. I believe we will have 16. And we're waiting on Hudson, who has it on their agenda next week to adopt. So the next step is you'll be seeing whoever is the main point of contact for each community, including Wendy for the county, will see a email from us kind of passing, kind of this process to Cornell Cooperative Extension and their team, who will be scheduling a kickoff meeting in the next month or two as they kind of, establish their process for moving forward. So that is the update as of now. And thanks to all of you who are engaged in this effort. I believe David ran the number. It's like, 70% of the communities in the county are doing this. I don't know what population that is. That would be a cool figure if I could pull that up for you guys, but it's wonderful. So
thank you, Tara. And this is a great opportunity for all of us that came to us. Which towns are not participating? Maybe we can, there's no more time, right? We are out of time.
So there's no more time, and unfortunately, we've kind of hit the cap as far as funding goes. I don't think we were expecting to get 16 communities, but you really kind of showed up as a county to do this. So
okay, great.
So yeah, but it's I can share the final information when we've got that together. But just a few outliers there. So, but they're still going to get the data from the county report, and I think that that's going to be valuable in general. Is that their community is not going to be excluded from the data. It's just that they won't have their own report in hand.
Yeah.
Just remember, you selected Columbia County because of its energy. So that energy continues to present itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, very exciting. Okay, more on that in the future. The community solar campaign is winding down, or maybe petering out might be a better term. There's no more solar to be had for now. So at least from the community solar projects that are available in our utilities. So we had originally scheduled this campaign to run through the end of the year. I don't know. I don't think Kara's on. I don't know if Wendy knows if there's still any opportunities for people to really sign up. There are some, in some of the utilities there might be. So we'll get an update on that. But I mean, our website's still up. People can still go through the process, and we'll see what the final numbers are there, and we'll tally that up, and we'll make sure that we do all the accounting so that we get our credit from the providers, the credit to the municipalities. We'll split it with the municipalities that will hopefully work with the providers to just send checks separately to the county for the signups that occurred anywhere in the county, and then for any town that also was part of the campaign, that they would split any subscribers. The bonus that's given to the municipality on behalf of that subscriber, we'd split that 50-50. So we'll work on the accounting as we wrap it up in the new year, and then we'll report back to everyone. Supervisor Adams.
Is there anyone working on the other end of the supply chain to see how we can bring more solar online?
I don't have a simple answer there. I think that there's I don't know. Does anyone have an informed answer? I could speculate.
I mean, I think it's just the financial incentives are kind of going down a little bit for community solar. There's a whole process of kind of making these farms work, and that, along with increased demand from these community solar campaigns, just hasn't been able to kind of level out. I do know there's still more that are being built, so especially National Grid region. I think the Central Hudson areas and NYSEG definitely going to be a challenge for the long term, but National Grid, we're still hearing of facilities being built. It's just a matter of what's developer community solar subscription company is the one kind of using that, and whether or not the ones you guys were working with are picking up new farms. So
Wendy, I don't know if you had anything to add. I saw you popped on the screen.
Yeah, I just know that NextAmped is done because they have they don't want to have long wait lists. So they have pretty much stopped promoting their campaign at this time.
Okay. Should we be pulling the NextAmp link from the website?
I mean, I suppose we could. The campaign is supposed to run until the end of December. I have a feeling that I haven't looked at the campaign website in a while. I have a feeling that when you click on it, it just doesn't allow you to sign up.
Okay. Well, I'll take a look. Maybe we pull it if people can't. I don't want people getting frustrated.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll look at it right now, and if it's not working, I'll have it pulled.
Okay. Wendy, let's reach out to NextAmp and get those final numbers then.
So it's 16. I have the numbers. Yeah, 16. And so the billing thing is something that I have to work with NextAmp.
So hopefully we can, it's $100 per subscriber. And if there's not it's not for subscribers not in a town that was piggybacking, that 100 would go to the county in full, and in cases where there's piggyback, the half of it, $50, would go to the municipality. It'd be nice if they could just write checks to each town and county, and we can account for it. No, they can't?
They're not doing that. That was something that was their sticking point, if you recall, in the beginning of this. So I will be working with NextAmp to try and get some information, and then I will be submitting a bill to them where they will be submitting a check, and then we'll have to distribute that. So I'll have to work with the treasurer's office. And it'll get done.
Yeah, that's a pain though for a small amount to different towns.
Yeah.
Steve.
Hey there. Was there any determination of what the money was that we get from these incentives is going to be used for at the county level?
No, we would determine that. We would make a recommendation, I would imagine. There's no segregated fund that we have any authorization to access, but those, I've been told that those resources will be available for future projects. For example, if there are, energy installations, efficiency installations, or like what a lot of the towns have done in using them for projects in the towns. And I would want us to consider, for example, perhaps using some of the funds we get from the clean energy campaigns. We did get $5,000 for benchmarking. I don't know if that money's in the door, but we got credit for it. And then we will hopefully get, I think, 15,000 when we get our 10 subscribers. We would have had 15,000 for the community solar, but we didn't make that deadline. We'll in the first quarter, let's try to do an accounting and figure out what we have raised, and then we can start deciding what we want to use it for. I think this might dovetail. Okay. Climate Carnival. Our subcommittee is having a meeting next Wednesday. I don't think there's much to report, but I don't know if Jolene wants to, or Tistria, if you want to report on kind of where we're at in the process.
Okay, I can give a quick update. We are currently looking for a venue for the 2023 event that we're looking at planning. This week I did reach out to 2 different venues. Both responded back that they have interest, and we'll discuss that at our meeting on the 9th. We did send out an email to everyone that participated in the carnival this year, in addition to vendors that were not able to participate. So pretty much everybody responded back within a day or two of the interest for the 2024 event in September. So Don and I have been keeping a spreadsheet. Just as we progress, we're going to have 2 projects kind of going on at once, keeping them updated. And eventually we'll have to go out to the fairgrounds to make arrangements with them, seal the deal for the 2024 date. But we'll be discussing more at the meeting next Wednesday.
More fun. I think, what is our tagline? Fighting climate change fun, or something. We need to really work on that tagline. But it's exciting stuff to have these events and get people excited. And these events will be distinct and probably draw different people, and that's exciting. So we'll report back after our meeting next week and continue to keep everyone informed as to what's happening and how they can support it and get involved. Thanks, Jolene. Before we get to the next item, real quick, I don't know if Terrence is on, but we can also skip ahead and do this in 1 or 2 items down the line. But I just wanted to give a quick update on the roundtable. That's not on our agenda. I left it off by accident. But a very important event. It was successful. But Terrence, do you want to just give a quick kind of review of what we did there at the roundtable?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. We had about 40 attendees come out, and we had, like David said, we had a really great turnout, and we had a lot of interest. The roundtable, I think, was a success in part because we were able to provide that space for people to kind of cross-communicate, and I think we still have to send out a follow-up email, so I'll get back to the subcommittee about that, because there is interest among the attendees to make sure they all have access to each other's emails. And basically, we were able to introduce what the County Climate Smart Task Force has been doing. Tara and Haley gave a description of the plan. I think that might have been where Hudson was able to kind of show their interest. And so between that and a couple of other connections that were made kind of in real time, I think it showed that getting these groups together, and both the CACs and the CSCs, but also the different municipalities together, really does have a utility. So when we send out the follow-up email, we're going to get everyone each other's email addresses, but we're also going to kind of gauge their interest in having another one of these so we can kind of plan that out for maybe 6 months or so.
Thanks, Terrence. It was a great event. It was, the best part was meeting a bunch of people and seeing people and networking, and hopefully we can do more of that and continue to build that energy in our county. There's a lot of it, and there's some really great and talented and smart people that are working in different corners of the county on different initiatives. I think coordination and efficiency and reducing duplication of work are all kind of themes that I heard in conversations I was having. We do have a lot of organizations, and it's often the same group of people that are working across these different organizations, from this task force, the EMC, the county, the town, CSCs. Some towns have clean energy community projects, the conservation advisory councils. Some are statutory bodies. Some are created through these government programs. But one of the topics that we'll be taking up at the next EMC meeting we talked about is, what are some ways that we can create more efficiency? And we can help to promote maybe streamlining some of the work, certainly helping to coordinate the work among these various bodies so we're not reinventing the wheel. I think we've been trying to do some of that where appropriate at the county level as we have these campaigns, but there's a lot more I think we can do there to harness all of this good energy and people's work efficiently. So we'll be sure to report back on that discussion as well from the EMC, and welcome any comments and now or in the future on those types of things. John.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good meeting, and only one other person from our Climate Smart was able to attend. But one of the things I wanted to ask Terrence is there some way you can send out sort of a summary or something? Because like this task force meeting, I like to report back to our Climate Smart group, but it's a lot of work to take notes and do things. So like when Dave, you send out the recording, I can share that with people on our Climate Smart, and it's easy to do. And I think the roundtable is really important. So if we could send out something soon that sort of summarized it and sort of communicate some of the excitement, it would be helpful, because I know there's other people that want to do it, but I suspect most of the Climate Smart committees don't have enough people to sort of pass the message along for everything, and so it'd be real helpful.
Great. Well, Terrence is working on that, so we'll make sure.
I figured you probably were, but I wanted to say it.
Yep. That's great. Thanks, John. Any other comments on the roundtable? Thank you, Terrence. Great. So a couple more items, 3 more. One are new initiatives, new task force members, and the last one is we have to approve the minutes. Let's start with that. We have, sorry, I'm just pulling up something from that I needed a minute. So I sent around the minutes from last meeting. Any comments or edits from that? If not, take a motion to approve. Thank you, John. Go ahead, Bill.
I seconded it.
Okay, John, and then Bill seconding. All in favor? Any opposed? Please speak up. Great. Minutes are approved. Thank you, Maureen, as always, for that. Super useful to have those minutes, and we post them online as well. So thanks, everyone. New initiatives. So 2023, we've been discussing new projects. We've got the climate adaptation plan, which we'll be participating in, obviously, and doing some work on. And Cornell will be taking the lead, the technical lead, and Tara's done a tremendous amount of work there. We've got our efficient heating and cooling campaign, and I think we're ready for more work. So let's keep it going. One of the things that a lot of towns are doing, and that is an essential kind of step forward for us, is a greenhouse gas inventory. And there's two types of green. So if you think about the climate adaptation plan, that's kind of one parallel path of the work. How do we adapt to the changes? How do we make our communities more resilient to the changes that are coming, that are here, that have happened already? And then the other is mitigation. How do we reduce our emissions? So the first step to a climate action plan, which is all about reducing emissions and mitigation, is to do a baseline to understand where we're at now, and that's a greenhouse gas inventory. I know most of us know that, but it's worth repeating, I think, just to frame it. There's two types of greenhouse gas inventories. There's a government operations, which is more limited to the government emissions from government operations, buildings, vehicles, et cetera, landfills, wastewater treatment, things like that. And then there's community greenhouse gas inventory, which would cover all of the emissions that are coming from our town, including the government operations. Much more involved and something that will take more resources and time. Tara is working with communities in our county already to conduct government operations inventories. And obviously in a town, that's an easier lift where there's fewer operations than in the county. And nonetheless, we need this information, and it's an extension of the work that Wendy has already done with county officials on the benchmarking work that happens every year now, looking at fuel for heating and whatnot, but non-transport for fuel and electricity. And so this would add more components to the government operations to cover all of their emissions. There are formulas and models for doing this work. It's not going out there and measuring methane coming off of a landfill. It's not that type of work, but it is it's using algorithms and models to estimate the emissions that are coming from those operations, and in some cases getting them precisely, like electricity or fuel oil or other types of information we already have available. I would like to see us do this in 2023. And when I say us, I acknowledge that we will promote and recommend this, and the work falls onto the Wendy and other officials at the county level, and we appreciate very much that work. It's an essential step for us to be able to look at where we're at and where we're going, and it frames all of the actions that we take in a context, a greater context of the longer term goals. So I'm putting that forward as an initiative that I would like personally to see happen. I know there are other ideas, and so I definitely want to open this up to other ideas that we perhaps will have a discussion around how to prioritize. Yes, what I'm proposing is that we do, thank you, Brenda, but we do a government operations greenhouse gas inventory similar to what many towns in the county either have done or are already doing. And we do that in 2023 at the county level. Matthew.
Hi, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. We did it in Germantown as one of our first actions to do the government operations. But I do have a question. I'm curious to know, in terms of the workload that's going to fall onto Wendy. I don't know if Wendy has insight into this or anyone has insight. Because one of our challenges in Germantown was that we're not up to date technologically, so we actually had to go through paper documents, and I wouldn't want to have, obviously if Wendy has to do that, she's going to need some help. I'm curious to know where is the county at in terms of their technology? Is everything digital? Is it still paper? I know that sounds like a silly question, but it was a huge issue for us.
Thank you. Wendy has a lot of experience. Bill also helped with the benchmarking work, which was a lot of that collection of information, what we would also need for the inventory. But I don't know, Wendy, if you want to speak to this or speak to that question specifically, we'd love to hear your perspective.
So what year am I starting for this inventory, first and foremost?
I'm
Is it current, or do we have to go, how does that work?
No, I think it's current. Tara, maybe you can
Yeah,
clarify.
so you can use whatever years you want to, and I would recommend, because you guys did the benchmarking, to use those years. Why duplicate efforts? I don't know what years you ended up doing for benchmarking, but that's what typically, I'm working on the Village of Kinderhooks with Bill right now, and that's what we're kind of duplicate efforts. So all of that benchmarking data is incredibly relevant and really the biggest piece of your inventory. So that data is already there, and it's a matter of gathering a few more pieces like streetlights for those years, any fleet usage, which can be rolled up. And then the other piece of it is going to be the landfill information.
And I saw wastewater treatment. I know Hudson has a wastewater treatment facility. I don't know others throughout the county, but is that part of it too? Is there like a way of just looking at how much effluent moves through, and there's like a formula?
So wastewater is a piece of it, but it's a matter of who is managing that. So if it's the cities and they're the manager of it, then that's their government operations inventory. If the county isn't managing it, it's not part of their inventory.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Would that go also with the streetlights?
Yes, exactly the same. So you're not looking at each town's streetlights. You're looking at just any that the county might have, which is usually pretty few because counties don't have a ton of lights.
Correct.
Other than landfills and the other items that we've discussed, are there other categories that are part of this?
Nope. Everything should have been included in the benchmarking. So really, that's the data right there for government.
Tara, do you have more information on what exactly it is for fleet usage that you're looking for? The information that would need to be collected?
Yep. So it would be the department ideally, but not required. Although that's good data to have. The gallons by year. And then the amount.
The amount?
The cost. I'm sorry. The cost.
Okay.
Wendy, would it be helpful to set up a call with Tara and go through this in detail? Happy to participate or not, depending on whether that's needed. So you can have a better understanding of the details, and then we can come back and discuss this at our next meeting?
I know that the committee is very interested in getting this done. So, I don't know if any of the supervisors on here have anything that they want to say in regards to inventory.
Supervisor Adams has had her hand up. Sorry.
It's old. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's also 16 points, climate smart points, and it's I don't know if I think it's mandatory for silver, so a pretty significant boost to our point total for those that are counting. Brenda's hand's back up.
Sorry. So Wendy, do you know how much time we actually spent on the benchmarking? I know a lot of this you were really the kind of gathering place, right? So if we were just to look at this in bold strokes, this sounds like, based on what Tara said, that this is equivalent or less than the benchmarking. So I'm wondering if that's a way to look at it in terms of your ability to fold it into your workload.
Right, that's why I was asking specifically about the fleet usage. So I'd need a little more information on that because as you know, the Columbia County fleet is quite large. I'm not really 100% sure how that information is collected, but I know that information, like every department they have to keep track of gas usage and whatnot. So depending on how specifically it needs to be broken down, that sounds like it probably would be a lot easier than the benchmarking, just because the benchmarking is all paper bills from, different electric companies. Collecting that data is a little bit different. I know that we have our own gas, our own fuel station that I believe our county employees are supposed to be using if they're filling their fleet tank or fleet vehicles. Is that correct?
We do. We have fuel contracts that are managed, and each department has their own code for the fuel that they use as part of that contract. But the wastewater treatment plant that's at the industrial park, is that operated by the city of Greenport or is it operated by the county? Does anybody know?
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure if it's the town of Greenport or if it's Columbia County. I know we have something to do with the wastewater treatment plant. I don't know what exactly it is that entails.
Okay.
So that would be something that we'd need to look into as well.
Tara, do you know offhand how complicated the wastewater, if it is a county facility?
Yeah, so it's not incredibly complicated. We would need some numbers for that. Have some data from the plant. Honestly, the landfill piece is more complicated, but I think the fact that Wendy already works in that department is going to make it easier because we're just looking for kind of what the amount of trash that goes in, which is something I think you have to report to the EPA anyways, or the DEC.
That was the other question I had. Our landfills are all closed.
Okay. Okay.
We have no operating landfills. I think there is 8 that we were asked to close through the state. Jolene has her hand up. I'm going to let her talk. She's kind of the expert on the landfills.
Okay, so actually, there is no landfills currently operated. Wendy was correct about that. For the ones that are closed, only one met the requirement to have monitoring of gas. That was the Hudson landfill, which we just got a report last week, and there's nothing being emitted from that site due to the age of the landfills. So actually, from our standpoint for the landfills, it'll be very easy to get that documentation together. All they're going to require is when the landfill was closed, the size of the landfill, estimated tonnage that was in the landfill based on the footage and just our closure information. So we could pull that together quickly.
Great. Yeah. Oh, Jolene, exactly. That's exactly the pieces of information that they'd be looking for. Yep. So.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? We'll bring this back to the committee or the task force. Wendy, let's follow up and make sure that you have all the information you need to help guide us in terms of what type of burden this is on you and on other staff at the county level before we recommend it. Brenda.
So I was just thinking that if we were able to do the government operations this year, if the towns are all working on their individual greenhouse gas plans this year as well, that would put us at a good platform or baseline to expand it countywide in the following year. And the only other question I had is what about the transfer stations, the recycling and the trash stations? Are those operated by the county? And the composting, are those things that have to be part of this calculus?
Solid waste emissions, Clara, for government operations, is that calculated other than landfills?
Yes. So typically a transfer station isn't going to so the way the transfer station works is if it's located in your town, but you don't manage it, you're not responsible for those emissions. So
But what
whoever's
about the county, like if the county's operating?
Right.
transportation?
So I guess that's a question for Jolene and Wendy as far as like how those transfer stations, like where does the waste go from those? Is that managed by the county? Is that part of your landfill? Does that go
No.
somewhere else?
Actually, Tara, we're in contract, so all we do is load containers, and we have private company come in and transport that waste out of the county. So I think just store station is probably the fuel that we use to operate them, bringing them in from the smaller stations into Greenport. From that point on, everything's handled privately.
Gotcha. County, you do not have to report those emissions because the idea is that whoever's getting that waste in the end is the one reporting those.
Correct.
So,
Great.
Yep.
Well, that makes that much easier. To your broader point, Brenda, this allows us to take a step toward a more complicated and involved community-based greenhouse gas inventory, a more holistic and comprehensive look at the county, all of us. And this would include vehicle miles traveled, and estimating emissions across the county outside of government operations. That really is the gold standard and what we need to have a good snapshot or baseline for tracking the benefits of the work that we're doing and others are doing across the county in the next decade and beyond. There are contractors like eClay and others that can do this work with us. It doesn't mean they do it. We all know that that's a collaboration. I think if we can do this in 2023, we can start having the conversation about what the cost and the complications are to pull that off. And if you think about it, government operations are by their very nature municipality by municipality, right? The town, the county. So having all that information is an essential prerequisite to a county-wide inventory and a community inventory. And so we could set this up where I don't think it makes much sense for a town. They can do it. I think some have, but for all of our towns to be doing town by town, community-wide inventories. We should do one in the county, and the towns that want to get credit or participate can piggyback on top of that and add information and help us in the work. But this is down the line, of course. But I do think that's just setting the path toward where we're going. Steve.
Two things. New Lebanon has a landfill that was never closed officially. It's not in use anymore, and I don't know if that would complicate these calculations.
Owned by the town or the county?
For the county, yeah.
Huh.
No, actually, Steve, that's your landfill. The town owns it.
It's your problem,
We don't have any jurisdiction on that site.
Well, no, I just meant in terms of, it was actually a county, well, Tister, you can comment on the relationship, but I think it was a town landfill that the county used to dump into.
Yeah, but we have resolved that issue. So now everything falls under New Lebanon for that site.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a past town supervisor that entered into an agreement with the county to pay the town way less than it's actually going to cost to close it, but it is legally binding. So it has become the town's problem, but it was the county's garbage. So that's where we're at. And we're working with New York State DEC to get the funding to help close it. And hopefully the county can help at least advocate for that to happen, because the money that we got from the county is not even a quarter of what we need to properly close it. And now it does have PFOA and PFOS contamination in the monitoring wells as well. So it's a real issue that, although the legal document makes it the town's issue, I hope that our higher up government, both the county and the state, will help advocate for that funding, because the town budget is only $2 million and it costs more than that to close it. So there's no way to do it within our budget.
And the other thing too, Wendy, I don't know, we had Alejandra in the past helping with when we first initially at the county level. Would you entertain another student to assist in some of these more tips that we're working on in the future if we could arrange that?
I'm sorry, Steve. The connection was poor. It was like every other word is what I heard.
No, if we could get another student, either from Cornell or otherwise, to assist you in, some of these difficult projects like that, would you be interested in that?
Assisting in in what way though? The document finding is going to be difficult to have someone outside of the county collecting that information because it's county access kind of documentation. Alejandra did a fantastic job with her report for the certification to bronze, and she offered a lot of very detailed and interesting reports for the certification process, which was the reason why we're so close to bronze now was a lot of that work that she offered to us. So I'm not really sure if there's reporting or something that a student can do, then yes, absolutely. I mean, it's great to have these college students working with us, especially since they're going into the field. I just don't know what it would be that we would have for them to do.
Well, possibly it could be if they can't collect the documentation, they could write the reports also, because I think that when we submit this to the CSC, they certainly appreciate a detailed report on everything. So anyway, I just thought it was an idea. If you're interested, we can try to work on that.
Do you have someone in mind?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just an idea. Yeah.
Okay.
The professor there is pretty much open to any ideas we come with. So as a town, when our climate smart committee is looking at doing something that could have a potential for assistance, we reach out and say, hey, we want to do this project. And pretty much every time she finds a student or students to work on it. So.
And they're grad students. So they're
grad students. Yeah.
They're not just college students, and they're going into the field, as you said. So this is really important to them. That maybe number crunching, data entry, organizing information, the mundane stuff that you can hand off.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
Let's talk about that. Or drafting up a report to summarize everything that you can then edit, as opposed to writing it from scratch.
Yeah.
That might be nice. So, all right. Well, is there anything else on this right now? We're going to revisit this in December. Wendy, anything else you need from us to help get to that meeting in December? We can talk offline.
Yeah, I'll talk with Tara specifically about the fleet usage, I guess, and maybe see if there's any type of template or something she can show me to see exactly what it is, the information, and I'll reach out to some county resources and see how they collect the information and how readily acceptable or easily acceptable this information is. I'm assuming that it's going to be a little bit easier than the benchmarking, but I'll make some calls and see.
Great.
I do want to remind you all, though, that history, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you guys do not meet in December, correct? The Board of Supervisors.
The board.
We do not need
resolutions and that kind of thing.
The Board of Supervisors doesn't meet no, the committees nor the board meets in December?
Not usually, no, because of the holidays. I mean, Jolene, correct me if I'm wrong, or Brenda, but I believe the last 2 years I've been on the board, we haven't had our Christmas time.
Right, and I remember this as an issue last year, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone kind of remembers that December is kind of a wonky month here in the county, and there's not.
Yeah, and so how it works is, if I remember correctly, we will be meeting November 9th for all the committee meetings from October. We are having our November committee meeting to full board, it would need to get to the committee meeting for November, but then it won't go to full board till January, and then we do the January committee meetings for February.
Right. Well, I think in terms of this project, the earliest timeline would be the task force. We will meet in December. It'll be early, so hopefully everyone can join. We'll decide before then and at that meeting whether this is something we want to do. And if we do, then we'll vote on it, make the recommendation. We'll come in with a resolution. We'll have it, ahead of time for people to look at. And then it would go in January to the committees, and then it would go to the full board the end of January or
February.
It'll be at the beginning of February.
So then, it gets approved in February and the work starts thereafter. It's very reasonable timeline. I think that would work just fine. But I also recognize, Wendy, it's, it doesn't go without saying, so it should be said that we meet once a month. We have some really great subcommittees work that's happening on some of these campaigns, some of this work. But the Climate Carnival was a good example. A lot of people chipping in, but it's not. We appreciate the amount of work that if we say, yeah, we want to do this, it's really you doing that work. Maybe with some of our assistants, like Bill was helpful. So we appreciate that. We really need your feedback to know what's possible. And then we can act as a group so we're all on the same page. So thanks for that. And any other comments? We can move on. I have one more item and then we'll let everyone go. So we have a new task force member I'd like to nominate. And her name, Jennifer Phillips. Folks probably know her. She's at Bard. She's a county resident. I'm going to read her quick bio here for folks that don't know her or do. She's very impressive. She's got a lot of expertise in this area and would be a great asset for our task force, and she's interested in joining. She's on the faculty at the Bard Center for Environmental Policy, where she teaches science courses for grad students. Her bachelor's is from Hunter College. Her master's and PhD are from Cornell in soil, crop, and atmospheric sciences. Previous to joining Bard, she was a researcher at the International Research Institute for Climate and Society, Columbia University, and NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies. She spent 8 years doing research in East and Southern Africa, working on social ecological systems and the use of climate information by small farmers. Her areas of interest are in climate change, agriculture, greenhouse gas emissions, and food systems, with a particular focus on livestock systems, soils, soil carbon sequestration, and regenerative agriculture as climate change adaptation strategies. Articles in agricultural systems, agriculture and forest meteorology, global environmental change, and carbon management. She lives in Columbia County. 2001. She's got a 90-acre livestock farm in Claremont, where she manages grass-fed cattle and sheep and experiments with agroforestry and habitat restoration. And she's served on the planning board in Claremont for 10 years. So I nominate Jennifer, but if anyone else has anything to say, that pretty much sums it up, I think. But we'd be thrilled to have her join us.
She was also my
David,
thesis advisor, just as a heads up.
David, can I take your nomination a step further and actually make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Supervisors via the County Government Committee to appoint her to this task force?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to move for. That's the process. Thank you, Tishria. The process.
Well, I'll let you make the motion with that wording and I'll second it then.
Yeah, well, or you make the motion and I'll second it. I don't care. But the point is, I want to open it up to discussion. I'm really excited that I've spoken with her. I know a lot of folks know her, and she'd be great. So the motion, to be clear, whoever moves it, is to recommend to the Board of Supervisors, of course, that goes through county government, and to the Board of Supervisors, the appointment of Jennifer Phillips as a task force member. And we have no quotas, numbers that we can and can't have. So it's not a matter of filling a specific spot.
I'll happily make that motion.
Great.
Second.
Great. Thank you, Denal. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait, hold on. Pause. Wendy, did you have something to say, or were you just in favor?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what's with the hand now. I'll let you finish this, and then I do have a question about other members.
Okay, but not about Jennifer.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any other comments before we vote on Jennifer? Great. All in favor? Any
Dave,
opposed?
I don't know if I'm on mute or not.
No, I hear you, Matthew. That's
Okay,
good.
sorry. Yeah, I'm on the phone. I just wanted to strongly endorse Jen. She was my agroecology professor at Bard and deeply knowledgeable person. She'd be a real asset. So just wanted to add that.
Great. So any against, just please speak up. Great. Passed unanimously. Thank you, everyone. And we look forward to Jennifer joining us. Wendy.
Okay, so back to members. We have a couple of people on our task force that are not present. And I know there was a conversation of where did that go? What's going on with that? Because a task force that doesn't want to be on the task force needs to provide a letter saying they would like to be removed from the task force. The supervisors that too, correct, Tistria? We need the board of supervisors to.
Yes, I think the person would write a letter of resignation and the board would approve it. At least on a town level, that's how it works. The member says, I'd like to resign from this committee, and then the board officially approves the resignation or accepts the resignation.
Right, because we do have an initial resignation from the beginning of the task force that lists all of these members. So in order to keep our task force up to date, we do need to have recognition that people are leaving and people are coming on.
Yeah, David, I think you were going to reach out to those kind of no-show members. Have you had a chance to have those conversations?
Yeah, I haven't had the conversations, but I've reached out. So getting a letter may be difficult, but you know, I think there's a lack of community. So, you know, perhaps we can, if we can't get a letter, we can, when we move this motion for Jennifer, this resolution, we can include a recommendation to remove it's 2 members for their lack of participation and their lack of capacity to continue to serve.
And David, I think too, we could ask the board, or maybe Wendy, you can have this conversation with kind of protocol. Here in the town, we do have some committees that say if you don't attend at least X number or X percentage of meetings, you're off. And that way, if you have someone that's not responding to actually resign, it's just kind of laid out there, you know, that if you don't attend 50% of the meetings or you don't attend X number of meetings a year, that you're automatically off. But I think that's more of a question for like the chairman. And I don't know, Wendy, if you're comfortable.
Well, so interesting about that, this particular task force committee does not have any of those any of those type of things. And that is something that maybe we should look at going into the new year, is kind of making this a little more formal with those kind of, you know, what is the expectations if you miss, you know, 3 or 4 meetings or whatever. Perhaps maybe then that is, you know, an opportunity to reassess whether or not you are an active member of the task force, or if you should be replaced with someone that's more willing. But we don't have any of those guidelines.
Yeah.
Committee.
Well, and I think that's what I'm saying is maybe at the first of the year or at the January or February meeting, maybe we make a resolution that not recreates it, but puts some of those guidelines in place and then renames all the members. And we just, instead of a motion to remove members, we just don't put those members' names on there. And then we add this new member's name and any others. I wonder too, because I know Denal and Ron and myself and Brenda are meeting with the chairman about this committee and some future things. So maybe we'll just bring that up in that conversation instead of Wendy, you going to the chairman and just kind of get the feel of what he thinks. And then we can come back to this committee at our December meeting with a recommendation and a discussion on how to word that. Because I think that makes it cleaner instead of us having to track people down, just to have it right in there that if you don't attend this many meetings, you're off, and then it just makes it a cleaner process. So I'll do that. The supervisors that are on this committee are meeting anyway about other conversations, so we'll add that to the conversation and then report back to this committee in December.
That guidance would be really helpful. So we appreciate that.
Mhm.
Okay, 11:30, and I don't have any other business. Anyone else have anything else? Great.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, wait, hold on, Susan.
Ask a question. I just tried to register for the state lunch and learn on the Inflation Reduction Act, and I got the website's not available. So just mentioning that.
Tara put that up there. I think she signed off already. So
Oh, I'll let her know. Okay.
reach out to Tara. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, the good weather, even though it's unseasonably warm. I'll let it go. I won't say anything. And thanks everyone for your good work. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye now.